Sharira anava shari kailabada dukkha. Snana-yatra. Snana-yatra. The bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannath. Yeti. Sing. Prabhu of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Haila. Be kind. Bada. Very much. Sukha. Happiness. Ishvarya. Of the Lord. Anavashari. During the pastime of retirement. Pela. Got. Badha. Very much. Dukkha. Unhappiness. Translation. After seeing the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannath, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy. But when Lord Jagannath retired after the ceremony, Lord Caitanya became very unhappy because he could not see him. Good. After the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannath, which takes place just a fortnight before the Rath-yatra ceremony, the body of Lord Jagannath is repainted, and this takes just about a fortnight to complete. The period is called Anavashara. There are many who visit the temple to see Lord Jagannath regularly every day, and for them his retirement after the bathing ceremony is unbearable. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt Lord Jagannath's absence from the temple very much. So today Lord Jagannath takes a public bath, and some people wonder why does he take a public bath today? And the reason is today is Lord Jagannath's appearance day. It's Lord Jagannath's appearance day. So I just sleep there. A very auspicious full moon day of Lord Jagannath's appearance day. In the Skanda Purana, it tells us, this is where we find all this information about Lord Jagannath, who is Krishna himself. So this feature of Lord Krishna, with the large dilated eyes, the round face, the hands and legs withdrawn into the body, is known as the Mahabhava Prakash form of the Lord. And actually it's the form of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, manifesting their love in their separation from the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So those Jagannath worship began like millions of years ago in the Satyuga, actually. Right back at the very beginning of the first age, the golden age, the Satyuga age. According to the Vedas, this Jagannath worship actually has been going on eternally. And sometimes you hear that the one name for Lord Jagannath is sometimes he's called Daru Brahma, which means the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in wood, who cuts away all one's suffering and miserable attachments, then awards one an eternal life of endless bliss in the spiritual world. So he is Daru Brahma, Lord Jagannath. So he's Krishna himself. Actually it is said in the Shastras that if someone thinks that the form of Jagannath is simply an idol made of wood, he immediately brings ill fortune into his life. Because it's, for many people it's inconceivable how the Lord can appear in these forms, in the form of the deity, in elements made of wood, of material elements, in like wood or stone or metal. Because we have to, as devotees, we understand that Krishna is the supreme controller. He's controlling both spiritual and material energies, so he can convert his different energies according to his desire. So if he chooses, he can appear in these forms made of material elements and accept our worship. I mean, Krishna can do anything he likes. Who can restrict him from becoming any form he likes? So the Vedas give us information about how Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra first appeared on the earth. And actually it is recorded something like 150,400,000 years ago in the Satyuga. You know, there's this famous story about a famous king named King Indradyumna, who ruled the entire world. In those days, the monarchs, they didn't just rule one country, but they ruled the entire world. And he possessed incredible wealth, power, prestige. He was very young, he had the youth. He had everything that everyone in this world desires to have. But in his heart, he wasn't satisfied. And he just longed within his heart to see and love the Supreme Lord. So at that time he received information that the Lord could be seen in a place known as Kshetra, Jagannath Puri, on a blue mountain called Nilachala. So he just heard this story, but he wasn't sure whether it was true. So he sent one of his learned Brahmanas to find that place. And after a long journey, that Brahman he met local people, he talked to local people, and they took him to this sacred place in the jungle. And there was, in that place, there was this beautiful four-armed deity of Nila, Madhya and Lakshmi residing in this jungle, a special place. And this deity was so incredibly special that even the demigods would come and offer and take their darshan. So this Brahmana, when he saw this, he was just amazed. And then it was just, this deity had incredible presence and potency. It was so beautiful. And so hastily he went back to tell the king that he found the deity. He found Krishna. However, not long after he departed, what happened was a severe storm, very fierce storm, began howling, like blowing sand and dust everywhere. Trees were just ripped out of the ground. Frightened people and animals were just scattering here and there. And hours later, when the wind eventually just calmed down, devotees went to that sacred place in the jungle to see their beloved Lord. But suddenly they realized the beautiful deity of Nila Madhava had just completely disappeared. Just disappeared. And everyone was so attached to Nila Madhava, they were just filled with so much anxiety and stress, and they were looking everywhere. They were looking through the jungles and through the bushes, and they were just overwhelmed, feeling this intense separation from their beloved Lord. Then suddenly they heard this voice from the heavens declaring from this day forward, Lord Nila Madhava will not be seen here in this world, but the Lord will soon appear in another form. So, of course, the king didn't know anything about this, and he was traveling. He was making this long distance travel to this place to get the darshan of Nila Madhava. And when he finally arrived to take darshan, and he found that the deity had disappeared, he was completely devastated. And then he was thinking, when he found out what had happened, he thought, what is the use of my life? And then he heard this voice from the sky announcing the king should construct a temple on top of the Nila hill, and the Lord would soon manifest himself there in a wooden form, because we know that was the form of Lord Jagannath. So he built this beautiful, magnificent temple, and then he waited for the Lord to come. And he waited, and he waited, and he waited. But the Lord didn't come. And he became restless. And he thought, the Lord's not going to come. My life is useless. Let me fast till death. But soon after, one night, Lord Jagannath actually appeared to him in a dream. And said, my dear king, give up your anxiety. Tomorrow I shall be floating in from the sea in a wooden form. So early next day, the king and all his ministers, they assembled on the ocean shore, and they were waiting, and they were waiting. And suddenly they saw this large wooden log just floating in and washed up on the beach. So they all got down there, all the ministers, and they picked up that wooden log. They placed it on the royal chariot, the golden chariot, and they took it to this special room. And then the king, he summoned all the expert sculptors to come and carve the deity. But what happened is that every time these artists tried to put their chisel to the piece of wooden log, the chisels just snapped. Then one day, this Vishvakarma, he was a famous architect of the universe, of the demigods, Vishvakarma. So he came in a disguised form, and he promised the king, these deities, I will carve these deities, and they'll be ready in 21 days. And I will work behind locked doors, and no one should come in during that time. And the king gave his word. But on the 14th day, he said he was going to take 21 days, but on the 14th day, he couldn't hear the tapping of the artist's tools, the chisels, the carving instruments. And so he wanted to go in there and find out what was going on, but the ministers was trying to stop him. But he forced open the door, and then he realized, the sculptor's gone. And he just saw there on the table the forms of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. Very simple forms. And he immediately went, "Oh no!" He exclaimed, "The deities are unfinished. What have I done in my impatience?" And once again he wanted to end his life. And then that night, Lord Jagannath appeared to him in this dream and spoke to him, and he said, "It appears the sculptor, the sculptor has not completed carving my forms. But this is just part of my pastime to manifest my Jagannath form. Those devotees who know me and love me purely will always worship me and see me as the two-armed Shamashundra playing my flute." Then just at that time, Narada Muni appeared on the scene. And when Narada Muni arrived, the king woke up from the dream. Then Narada Muni began to explain to him this whole pastime, the secret pastime that he had with the Lord, that he experienced in the previous yuga, when Krishna was living in Dwarka. At that time, we know Krishna, he was living in Vrindavan, and then he went to Mathura, and then he went to Dwarka. And he was separated from Radharani and the Brajvasis for like 100 years. So he was always experiencing the separation, because they were experiencing separation from him, and he was experiencing this intense separation from the cowboys and Radharani and the gopis. And sometimes he was living in Dwarka. We know that Krishna, when he went to Dwarka, he had 16,108. He expanded himself into 16,108 forms, and he lived in 16,108 houses. But sometimes what happened is during the night, due to this separation from Vrindavan and the devotees in Vrindavan, he would cry out in the night, "Oh Radhika, oh Radhika." He'd call out the names of the different cowherd boys. Where are you? Where are you? And in torrents of tears would just flow from his lotus eyes. So one day, the queens, they were all thinking, they decided to have a meeting and discuss this Krishna's condition, why he cries out in the night. And soon after they met with Rohini, which is Balaram's mother. And they said to Rohini, you stayed in Vrindavan for 11 years with Krishna and Balaram. Can you tell us about the Brajavatis' love, their love for Krishna that makes it impossible for Krishna to forget them? So Rohini, she thought for a moment and she said, oh, it is so nice, the pastimes of Vrindavan, the love of the inhabitants of Vrindavan for Krishna. It is so nice. However, when I speak, Krishna and Balaram are going to come. And they will fall into so much ecstasy, I will not be able to speak for very long. Then Subhadra, Krishna's sister, she was there. She said, Rohini, you speak. You speak the pastimes, and I will stand guard at the door. And when Krishna and Balaram come, I'll tell you. And he can stop talking. So Rohini, she began her narration. Because Krishna and Balaram, they immediately knew. Rohini is speaking about Vrindavan. Let's go on here. Meanwhile, Subhadra is standing there at the door keeping guard and just hearing these beautiful pastimes of the love of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. It caused Subhadra to go into complete ecstasy. And she became stunned like a piece of wood. And soon Krishna and Balaram arrived. And they stood either side of Subhadra. No one knew they were there. I was just standing there listening to this beautiful narration of Vrindavan Leela. And then suddenly Krishna and Balaram also became stunned like wood. And then when Rohini was talking about the love of the gopis, she was talking about the love of the gopis and the love of the cowherd boys for Krishna, the love of Nanda and Yasoda for Krishna. However, when Rohini began speaking about the Radharani's love for Krishna, Krishna and Balaram and Subhadra went into just extreme, inconceivable ecstasy. And in their ecstasy, what happened? Their arms and legs, they entered into their bodies. They had these big smiles on their faces. Their eyes became dilated into big circles, just as we see the forms of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. In this intense ecstasy of love and separation from the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they started going into this intense, inconceivable ecstasy, and they manifested these forms. At that time, Narada Muni arrived. And he was so overjoyed. And he was so happy. And he started calling out, I have seen the Mahaprakash Bhava forms of Krishna, Baladev and Subhadra, manifesting their love and separation from the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So hearing Narada's voice, they immediately, Krishna, Balaram, Subhadra, they kind of came back to normal again. Then immediately, Narada asked for a benediction. He asked, let there be a place somewhere in this world where people can see your forms as Krishna, Balaram and Subhadra in your ecstasy of the love for Vrindavan. And anyone who sees those forms, let them get your love. And Krishna said, oh Narada, I must fulfill your wish. Now we will reside in these forms in Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri, and we will give our love to the world. So, Narada Muni, he's there. Indradumna Swami, Indradumna Maharaj has just woken up from this dream, and Narada Muni told him, these are the forms that Krishna wants to manifest here in Jagannath Puri. These forms of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. So the king was really satisfied. He offered prayers to Lord Jagannath, and then Vishvakarma, the architect of the demigods, again appeared. He built 3 enormous carts to carry the deities to their new temple. Actually, that was the first Rath-yatra festival. Then Indradumna inaugurated this first festival that we're having today, the bathing of Lord Jagannath on his auspicious appearance day, with 108 golden pots of sandal-scented water. So it's actually at that time, Jagannath personally requested the king to excavate this well, which was near a banyan tree, right next to the temple that he built. There was a banyan tree, and right next to that banyan tree, Lord Jagannath said, dig here, excavate a well here, and only use that water for the bathing. So it was kind of a special water that had this sandal-scented water in it. Yeah. And then the king built this huge arena for the occasion, with flower asanas for the demigods and sages to come and sit on. Then from this special well they took the clean sandal-scented water, was brought in golden pots, pure golden pots. And they were poured over the deities. So since ancient times, traditionally in Jagannath Puri on this very same day, they perform this ceremony. And now, of course, in all our temples throughout the world, we're performing this ceremony by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who's spreading this culture of Jagannath all over the world. So just after sunrise, they bring Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra abroad in a special procession to the bathing platforms, and they stay there for the whole day in the public view. And they've got these multicoloured canopies, and the pujaris come there, and they've got the 108 pots of water. And while the pujaris are bathing the deities, they're in this special mood. It's a special mood. The Jagannath, he has this intense, he's burning with this intense fever due to deep separation from Srimati Radharani in Raj. So first, he's taken up onto the temple roof. Unfortunately, Lord Jagannath gets hotter. This is their meditation, their mood, during the bathing ceremony. He gets hotter. So the pujaris in the mood of the Braj gopis, they pour this 108 pots of cooling, refreshing, sandal-scented water over Jagannath's head to cool him down. So when King Indradumna inaugurated the very first bathing ceremony millions of years ago in Satyuga, Lord Jagannath, he personally instructed the king how he wanted to be worshipped. And also, he instructed him that no one should see the deities for 15 days after the bathing. So in the Narada Purana, it explains that there's this pastime, how Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, they catch a cold and they get a fever after the bathing due to exposure to the cool winds. So to recuperate, they remain in seclusion for 15 days, and they're offered, different medicines and generally what we do is we make the ginger and lemon drinks and fruit juices, different herbs. And in Jagannath Puri traditionally, as I read in that verse, the deities are repainted, very intricate paintings. And it takes almost 2 weeks to actually repaint these deities. Then after 15 days of seclusion, Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, they reappear before their loving devotees. And devotees have been feeling intense separation. For 2 weeks they haven't seen Jagannath. And suddenly he reappears. And he's dressed in his finest robes, beautiful ornaments, and he appears one day before Rath-yatra. It's called Nava-yovana Day, the day of fresh youthfulness. And on this day, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he would take his intimate associates and they'd go to the temple to get the darshan of Lord Jagannath. And there's that verse in the Chaitanya Smriti that Gauranga's eyes were thirsty to see the deity of Lord Jagannath. He said that his eyes were like 2 bumblebees who were like drinking the honey of the lotus eyes of Lord Jagannath, who is Krishna himself. And it said that Lord Chaitanya, he became so absorbed in Lord Jagannath's beauty that he simply forgot everything. So Lord Jagannath, he's Krishna himself. But externally, when we look at Jagannath, we cannot see that form of Krishna. But because Lord Jagannath, he reveals that form to Lord Chaitanya, because he's in that mood of Srimati Radharani. And therefore it is said that in Jagannath Puri, we find 2 crying forms. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Srimati Radharani, crying for Krishna. And Lord Jagannath is Krishna crying for Radharani. So in Jagannath Puri, they say there's 2 crying forms of the Lord. So, there's modern historical accounts recall that from 1078, which is going back a few years, Jagannath worship just flourished for 533 years. And the Jagannath temple we see today in Jagannath Puri was established in 1212. And Lord Chaitanya appeared in 1611, during that time when the Jagannath worship is flourishing. But then there was a Muslim invasion. Then Jagannath worship was forced into hiding, and they only worshipped Jagannath secretly for 130 years. He was just worshipped in a secret place. Then finally in 1871, we know Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he moved to Jagannath Puri. And he was asked by the commissioner of Puri to watch over the affairs of the Jagannath temple. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he took up that practice, and at that time there was so much stuff going on, people stealing money, stealing bhoga, the offerings were always, there was no set, so he just established a very high standard of worship at Jagannath Puri. And then in 1955, the Indian government, they introduced the Jagannath Temple Act. And then they established this Jagannath Temple Managing Committee, and the King of Puri was made the chairman. And this is how it works today. And today we see, it's incredible, this whole culture of Jagannath we see in Jagannath Puri. There's like 30,000 people there involved in Jagannath service. Just imagine that. When we see devotees here, we have so many devotees, worshipping the deities and cooking, making garlands, so many things. In Jagannath Puri, we've got 30,000 people. So many people in administration, and we've got security and cleaning and sewing clothes for Jagannath, and making garlands, and growing the flowers, and growing the vegetables, and growing the grain, supplying the milk, making all the clay. Everything's cooked in clay pots. So some people making clay pots, some people are building the carts, you get people painting the carts, worshipping the deities, cooking, so many people involved as kitchen hands. It's like a whole culture of generations of families who develop this mood of loving devotional service towards Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra from the beginning of their lives. And the children are actually trained up to carry on their family services, whether it's making garlands or growing flowers or producing the milk for the Jagannath's offerings. And in the kitchen, they have this huge kitchen. Every day they have like 1,000 people working in the kitchen. They have 500 executive chefs, and they have 500 kitchen hands to do all the other stuff, bringing the water, cutting the veggies, grinding the spices. You've got 1,000 people working there. And they cook on they have 752 burners going. Everything's cooked on wooden burners in clay pots with pure ghee. And they every day they prepare 56 special dishes daily for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. And they feed up to like 10,000 people a day with this Jagannath Prashad. And on festival days, they feed up to 25,000 people. Incredible. 752 burners going, 1,000 people in the kitchen. It's amazing. This whole culture of Jagannath. And of course, we know that, Srila Prabhupada, he was a great devotee of Lord Jagannath, even from a very early age. We know that story. As a young boy in Calcutta, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted a cart. He was just a little boy, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years old. And he wanted a cart to perform his own personal Rath-yatra festival. So him and his father, they went to the carpenter's shop. It was too expensive, too costly. And little Prabhupada, he was crying. He really wanted to have this Rath-yatra festival. And of course, seeing him crying, some sympathetic old lady was there. She heard what was wrong, asked him what was wrong. He said he wanted to have his own Rath-yatra festival, and they couldn't afford to get the cart. So this old lady, she had this little cart, a little 3-foot high cart. So Srila Prabhupada and his father, they got the cart, and then they started modifying it. They had the 16 columns there and a canopy. But Srila Prabhupada was just a small boy, just like 4 or 5 years old. He insisted that the cart must be completely authentic and be exactly like the carts in Jagannath Puri. So, and then when they built the cart, he personally painted the carts. He organised every aspect of his own little Rath-yatra festival, and he would hold it every year. And he would engage, he'd get all his playmates and his sister to help, and he also inspired all the neighbourhood mothers to cook special chardon to be distributed, just as they do in Jagannath Puri. So Srila Prabhupada, his festival used to run for 8 days. It wasn't just a one-day affair. He wanted it completely authentic to the Rath-yatra in Jagannath Puri. For 8 days, all the family members, the playmates, they would all join in. And he would personally dress the deities, he'd offer the bhoga, he used to perform all the artis. Of course, then later in life, at the age of 69 years, he left India and he came first to America. In the following 12 years, he established his ISKCON and introduced this wide-scale Rath-yatra festivals, the worship of Lord Jagannath. He spread this culture of Jagannath all over the world. And we see so many Jagannath temples, Rath-yatra festivals. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai. Snana-yatra appearance day of Lord Jagannath ki jai. Yeah, so I think at 10:15 we're going to have the bathing ceremony in the temple. For the bathing, a special time. I think we all get to bathe Jagannath today.
Yes.
Everyone gets to bathe Lord Jagannath. So we should special opportunity. Does anyone have any questions? Like to add anything?
The meeting Kurukshetra after 100 years, was that before or after Kurukshetra?
What, sorry?
Was that before or after Kurukshetra?
The what?
The meeting at Kurukshetra.
The meeting?
When all the residents of Vrindavan met Krishna after 100 years. Is that before?
Well, that was... Before the first Rath-yatra.
Maharaj answered that question yesterday. He said that actually the meeting at Kurukshetra was only a few years after Krishna went to Dwarka. It wasn't far away because they were still remembering how he killed Kamsa, so it was shortly after he moved to Dwarka.
It was 100 years, but Jesus said it was 100 years.
That's what Maharaj said last night. I was here.
Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai.